Ready.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this keynote speech on the last final day of the Culturally Competent Conversations for Equity and Belongingness Summit, or the C3EB Summit. I can't even tell you how excited I am about our keynote speaker for this session. But before I get all giddy, and introduce her. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. Make sure you put your questions in the comments on our YouTube page or our Facebook page, C3EB Summit. This way, even after the keynote, we will monitor whether you're going to watch this live or later, and we will make sure our keynote speaker, Carolina, gets these questions and that you get the answers that you want. This summit, this session, this summit, everything you've experienced over the past 3 days would not be possible if not for our partners and sponsors. So a huge thank you to Essential IT, our web team who's been working so hard behind the scenes, making sure everything is flowing smoothly. To Defy the Status Quo Marketing and Ruthie Bowles, our content specialist, and Sylvia Pinho, our social media manager. To Zanzibar Enterprises, and you saw Zanzibar's keynote yesterday. I'm going to come back to thank Zanzibar again just in a second, but also our Pearl corporate partner, the Nielsen Company. And I really have to thank Zanzibar second time, because Zanzibar is the person who introduced me to our current keynote speaker, who is going to blow us away. I guarantee you that. And I am so thankful for our keynote speaker, Carolina Aramburo, because not only did she agree to be a keynote speaker for this, she gave us 3 coaches. You saw Tien Neo Emes on Wednesday. You saw Zanzibar yesterday. You saw Ed Balky earlier today talking about environmental integrity. And now here is Carolina. And oh my God, this is going to be so powerful. So before I give her the stage, for those of you who don't yet know Carolina, who, if you don't know her, I don't know how you don't know her, but a little bit about her. Carolina Aramburo is the CEO at Soulful Radical Results Coaching. She is a soulful master in business and life coaching, and also a coach mentor devoted to help evolve humanity's awareness. Carolina, with 26 years of experience, is in the top 1% of her industry. She has successfully coached over 1.2 million people through one-on-one modality as well as through seminars. She is undefeated in producing radical results in record time. Between her clients, we find award-winning artists, renowned scientists, government officials, philanthropists, environmentalists, business leaders, and people from all walks of life. She owns Soulful Radical Results Coaching, the elite coaching empire best described as the Amazon Prime of the top 305 master coaches in all specialties. Carolina has mentored and trained over 4,000 professional coaches. She was originally mentored by the Jim Rohn. She also led programs and trained other leaders for the biggest coaching company, Landmark Worldwide, for over a decade. Another main passion of hers is leading Carolina Aramburo charities, supporting the poorest orphans, disabled orphans, abandoned elderly, homeless in South America, besides sponsoring environmental initiatives. A true nature lover and soulmate to the kindest gentleman ever. Unapologetically living a purposeful life that needs no vacation and spreading her irresistible laughter and zest for life. Without further ado, here is one of the most powerful goddesses I have ever met in my entire life, the one and only Carolina Aramburo. Carolina, please take it away.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much, AJ. I'm gonna adjust my microphone so you guys can hear me better. First of all, AJ, you are everything that you describe about me. You are amazing and a goddess, because you're standing for what I say is one of the most important things in the planet: unity and inclusion. So seriously, thank you for creating what you're creating and inviting me to this talk and creating this entire summit. So I'm looking forward to hearing you, as a matter of fact. And it's the challenge for me today, as I say, hello, everybody. I'm really here. This is live. I mostly don't do this. I don't go live, and I'm not doing talks live anymore. I used to do them a lot, but I used to do 12-hour seminars. So the big challenge for me is to compress everything into a short period of time. So if I start speaking super fast, I apologize in advance. You know how in the YouTube videos now you can put the 2 times the speed, 3 times the speed? Now you're not going to need to do that with this talk, more than likely. Now, I have, to begin with, I have good news for everybody. I get to pay you $1,000 for listening to this talk. What? Yep. I am going to play Oprah for a second. So you get $1,000, and you get $1,000, and you get $1,000. Everybody gets $1,000 in coaching services of the highest quality, and you can apply them to whatever you want. And it's not just everybody listening to the talk right now, but anybody listening later. And if you want to help your friends, you can pass it on, no problem. I'm putting 0 limits on the gift of $1,000 in the highest level coaching. Now, why would I pay you to listen to my talk? It's kind of strange, right? It's funny because normally I get paid a big amount of money for talking and giving advice and giving coaching, giving consulting coaching for business coaching and life coaching for the last 26 years. But in this case, I am paying you to listen because it takes an open-minded human angel to have this conversation. And the statistic shows that just because I'm a woman, half of the people will not listen to the talk. So, and it doesn't mean men, by the way. So just for you to be open-minded, you get $1,000 in the highest level coaching. And you can use it for anything you want. You can use it for life coaching. You can use it for business coaching, health coaching, gender coaching, any kind of coaching you want. So now that you know you're going to make money, not just watch a video, just in case you want the perspective of a man for this talk, because I know it's important to represent, I am going to recommend as a talk and TED Talks. If you want to listen from a man's man perspective, one of the best ones I've ever heard, and by the way, he doesn't pay me. This is not a paid commercial. He doesn't even know me. His name is Jackson Katz. And he had the most remarkable TED Talk about this subject from a man's man perspective, given that he trains Marines and etc. So just in case you want to turn out, go ahead and check him out. I highly, highly recommend it. Now, going back to you, and why am I paying you to listen? Good news. First of all, you know, I have my self-interest in you listening to this talk, and don't worry, your $1,000 are not attached to anything. You don't have to subscribe to anything. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to take any test, nothing. It's just for listening. But let me come clean and tell you why would I do that. It's in my own benefit. Is because I really want a workable, evolved planet for my most beloved 3 little girls in the world. There's these 3 little girls that I love and think of like, you know, my children from another mother. And I want them to live in an amazing planet, not in a planet full of breakdowns. I love this planet, but it really is full of breakdowns. So to create this better world, we need each other. So that's why I'm paying you to consider this perspective that I'm going to present today. Another reason why I'm paying you is because my mission in life is to help people evolve as I'm helping myself evolve. So as you listen to this talk and we all create a better planet, I'm helping myself, we're helping each other. So therefore, I totally, request and invite you to listen to the talk with an open mind. And that's why also I do charity. Some people see charity like something you do to help others, but I see it like the opposite. It's like something that I do for myself that makes me happy, that creates a better planet for me, for the people that I love, for all of us. So now that you know, relax. You're going to make $1,000. You're not just listening. The other reason that I invite you to listen is not just to make the $1,000, which is pretty good, but I'm inviting you to listen with an open mind, because in this talk, I'm going to give you some of my secrets to success. Now, that's a big deal because, as AJ was describing my life and my career, a lot of people say, oh my God, okay, she has it all. Oh, okay, good for her, right? And I get it. I trust me, I get it. But I'm going to give you secrets that are going to allow you to create that kind of life for yourself too. I love hearing inspiring lives, the people that have achieved enormous things, but sometimes they don't tell us the pathways. How do they get there? So I'm going to give you a little bit of my pathways so that you can get there too. And for the people that think, oh my God, everything goes awesome for her. No, I have a very real life. No worries. I'm very human. AJ said something beautiful. She said goddess, but I'm very much a human being and very much also a goddess. Why not? And I have breakdowns like everybody, and I have challenges like everybody, but she's right about that I do live my dream life. And I want to give you access to your own dream life a little bit with this talk and a lot with the gift that I'm giving you so that you can cash in and coaching. So let me tell you one of my little secrets. I didn't start out like such a success. I started out, the movie of Cinderella? If you watch the latest version of the movie of Cinderella, yeah, that's exactly how I started out. I started out, in poor conditions, and I grew up in a poor country, and my family became poor, and you can imagine the rest of the story. It was a very sad beginning of my life, and here I am, enjoying an extraordinary life, living in an ocean view property. I wanted to give you the ocean, so that another incentive for you to listen with an open mind. So if I can make it from Cinderella to this life, anybody can. And just for the suspicious minds, why not? We should always be examining things. I'm not criticizing. I think it's great that we question things. So this Cinderella, me, I didn't marry a prince. I didn't get rescued by a prince and a horse at all. I didn't inherit a fortune. I didn't get any kind of like external help. So I rescued myself, and I created this life myself, obviously, with the guidance of the divine and a lot of extraordinary loved ones, friends that helped me create this life, and partners. So I'm going to give you a bunch of those secrets so you can do it yourself. Now, there is a specific way that you can listen to this talk. They can give you like the $1 million talk instead of the $1,000 talk. Isn't it great? So, by the way, I equate things with money sometimes because it's an easy way to understand value, even though it's an inaccurate way to understand value. I am not about money. This is full disclosure about myself. I'm more about what we can do when we're not struggling. I have zero interest in becoming a gazillionaire or anything like that. But I do think that everybody has the right to have enough so that they can live the life of their dreams, whatever that looks like. So that's why you're going to hear me, bring up money here and there. Breathe. $1,000 for the ones that are getting allergic to the talk already. The most powerful way that you can listen to the $1 million talk is by listening to how can these apply to me, to my own life, to my own circumstances. So whatever I'm saying, just see if you can ask yourself, how does this apply to me? And that will give you the most value out of the talk. And in advance, I also want to apologize, by the way, because the conversation that we're having, is very easy in this conversation to get offended. Because in these particular subjects, the world has gone in so many wrong directions that we get offended easily. And it's not your fault, by the way. But if you get offended, if I say anything that offends you, I apologize in advance. By the way, in the end of the talk, I'll give you my number. You can text me. I'll be happy to clean it out. But I do apologize because it may happen. Now, finally, let's get to the talk. Woohoo, we made it. So my talk is about gender equity. And what does that mean, right? Because it sounds beautiful, gender equity. I really like thinking about it as gender fairness. because sometimes we use words, they are beautiful and elegant, but don't give us the core issue, right? The heart of the matter. So I like to think about it like gender fairness. And for those that are like freaked out already, thinking, oh my God, this is going to be one more talk about gender, the females are getting put down in this planet, and the men are going to get blamed, and this is going to be one more feminist talk accusing all of us of being sexist. First of all, you may be a little bit right, because all that is part of the issue, but this is not going to be about that at all. And this is not about, poor women, all these horrible things that are happening to women, and very much horrible things happen to us women all the time in this planet, but it's not the man's fault. I know I just said something that, I may get criticized for, but no worries. Criticize away. I really don't think it's the man's fault. It's my perspective. So this talk is going to be for men, for women, and for all genders, all human beings. So if you're a man's man, you're going to love many pieces about this talk, because I'm not going to blame you at all, because I don't think you're the blame. If you're a very lady, you're going to love it too, and you're going to get access to it. And I really want you to think about the word gender way beyond how we normally think about the word gender. Because, mostly people think, oh, gender is going to be either like, putting down the male or putting down the female, or something about male, female, or is going to be dealing with, LGBT, the issues of the community of gender fluidity or anything like that. And, it applies to all of us, including those communities, including all the communities, but it's not limited to that. My particular perspective is that we should transcend gender and the way that we conceive gender. So if you want to know exactly how I think about gender, I'm inviting you to go back a little bit in the summit and listen to the talk of Tian Amos. Is one of my coaching partners that I'm super proud of. I started coaching him like decades ago, and he is a miracle worker and a total human angel. So if you listen to his talk, you will get to see what I mean by transcender gender. And in this conversation, I really much want to include and want to invite all of us to listen, whether you are a heterosexual man, heterosexual woman, you are queer, you are gay, you are lesbian, you're trans. Any human being is going to apply to you, I promise. Just hang in there, breathe deeply, $1,000 in the worst case scenario. Now, I want to use this topic in a particular way. I want to use this gender unfairness that we experience in the planet to give us access to build our dream lives. So, wow, how am I going to pull that rabbit out of the magician's hat, right? So I know it's radical. That's why I named my company Radical Results Coaching, but we're going to do it soulfully. And by that, I don't mean religiously, and I don't mean like what most people hear when I say that word. What I do is I produce radical results. And by radical, I don't mean like what most people hear either. When people are facing challenges or breakdowns, or they want to create the impossible, they call me, because I produce the kind of results that other people can produce or they can't produce by themselves. That's why we call them radical. They're not just good results. They are like, oh my goodness, amazing results. But we do it in a soulful way. So that's why I want to propose this talk, that you give yourself the chance to have a little bit of a soulful perspective. And what I mean by that is we align it with what our essence, what our heart, what our souls are here to do, not just getting work done, because very much so when I coach companies, businesses, corporations, and everything, we got to get a lot of work done. But we do it soulfully, aligned with our life purpose, because I think the paradigm of sacrifices is a little bit expired, and we can create having it all. So now we're going to use this gender unfairness issue to give you one more access. I want to give you one more access to create your dream life. Because if more and more and more and more of us create lives that we're really happy with, then we can help this planet work and create a future for the children that we love that, doesn't include the disasters that we're currently facing in the planet. So, first of all, breathe, no worries. It's all going to come together because by now, maybe I have put you all over the map. I have coached over, like AJ said, over 1 million people, 1.2 to be exact. And I have coached them in all kinds of subjects, not only in gender and fairness, but I have coached people. Mostly I'm known for coaching people in their businesses a lot, in their jobs, in their studies, and the productive side of life. But also I very much so coach people in their personal lives, in their relationships, in their health, et cetera, et cetera. Through the company, we have over 300 coaches that get it done in every specialty, and they are the best of the best. So when I'm offering you those $1,000 to be coached with one of us is to be used in any arena of life that you want. So you don't have to like just think of it on this particular issue, or in business coaching, you can think of any kind of coaching you ever need. Now, how am I going to take this subject of gender unfairness to lead us into an access to our dream life is by pointing out to a particular blind spot that I say all of us in the planet have. Ooh, exciting. A blind spot, very much so, because that's the difference between okay coaching, good coaching, and exceptional, masterful coaching. A good coach is good. It really is good. It will help you do things that you cannot do on your own. So I really highly recommend, parentheses, hidden publicity for coaches out there. Nobody asked me to say that. But when you get a good coach, you get done and you get to achieve things that you cannot do on your own. But when you get a masterful coach, ask them to show you blind spots. They're literally like, shortcuts to achieve what you want in a way shorter time, and to shift paradigms so that you can create what it seemed impossible before. So that's what I'm going to do about this subject. I want to point us, and I want to have us consider a blind spot about the matter of this gender inequity that we experience in the planet. So what's a blind spot? It's something you cannot see, that it impacts how things are going right now. Like when you're driving in your car and you look at your mirrors and there's no car, you're about to turn, and all of a sudden the car appears. That's it. That was the other car in your blind spot, right? So in life, you and I have blind spots. And masterful coaches can point to those blind spots so that we can actually achieve things in an impossible timeline and with an impossible seemingly quality that we couldn't do if we were going in a linear way. So about this issue of gender inequity in the planet, I say that we have a massive amount of blind spots, but I'm going to point out to the biggest ones because we have a short amount of time for this talk. So the blind spot in this issue that I'm inviting us to consider is not only that we put women down, because most people hear like, oh, gender equity, okay, we're gonna protest against sexism, we're gonna protest about how women are being treated badly in the world, and very much so, it is true. We should protest, and that's very much of an issue, but it's not against men, and it's not men's fault. By the way, parentheses, sometimes the biggest sexists are ourselves, like women ourselves, right? So I'm saying that all that issue that is as horrible as it is actually a consequence, not the cause of the lack of gender fairness in the world. This gender unfairness that we all experience, by the way, I think that men experience very much so gender unfairness too. So I say that this gender unfairness that we all experience is literally a symptom. It's not the cause of the problem. It's not the root of the problem. So I want to look at what's the root of the problem. How come we got to this paradigm where women are treated horribly, very much so, and people should protest like they're protesting, but we're not achieving the result by protesting. We're improving little by little. So let's look at a blind spot. How come we got there? How can we actually shift it and produce radical results in this arena of this terrible gender unfairness all over the planet? So here's my proposal of the blind spot. I propose, consider that we, in this paradigm that we live in this society collective that we live in, we put down the feminine and we put down the masculine. Like literally, we diminish both the masculine as much as we do the feminine. It's not just the feminine. And hang in there. Now that there is many feminists that probably are thinking, oh my God, I'm done. I'm leaving this talk. It's going to work out if you give me a chance. Take a deep breath. But just consider, we put down, we literally diminish the feminine and we diminish the masculine. And we have totally bastardized the divinity of both. And we end up producing a paradigm that doesn't work for anybody. Now, it's not your fault. So now that you're starting to worry, it's not your fault. It's not the men's fault, not the women's fault, not the gender fluid, amazing people's fault. Nope, it's not our fault. It's the paradigm that we got born into. But here's the catch. We are the ones creating the paradigm over and over again. We're perpetrating it, we're feeding it, and we're passing it down to future generations. So the bad news is that humans created this paradigm. The good news is that humans created this paradigm. So we actually can shift it to a paradigm that works. Now, let me tell you a little bit more of what I mean, because now some people are thinking, what is she talking about? So we all know how women are terribly, treated in many ways, and many countries more than in others, but all over the world, really frankly. And there is, just a tsunami of bad things that happen to women because of this lack of gender equity. Everybody knows that. But one thing that I think gets overlooked is that men suffer from that too, very much so, because as much as we put down women and we turn them into these victims, they kind of like have to put up with being victims and then look pretty, of course, while they are being victims. Then we also turn men into these monsters, just to put it simply, okay? Like the men have to be either or. They have to be the prince that rescues the princess. They have to be the one that, provides everything and has to be the total, that stereotype of the rescuer, the hero, etc., etc. And the lady has to be the princess, looking always pretty, of course, and in the whatever way society see as pretty, and be this victim that, has a lot of value in society, but it has to put up with a lot of abuse and a lot of unfairness and a lot of things, as much as the man gets to put up with a lot of unfairness, a lot of abuse, a lot of cruelty. It doesn't work out for any of us. And of course, I have oversimplified the issue. If we had a 12-hour seminar like the ones that I'm used to, I would go deeply into the issue, but just consider it for a second. Okay, what does that look like? Well, if you're a man, for example, you gotta do many things. You gotta be a man, you gotta provide, you gotta be powerful, you gotta be strong, you cannot cry, you cannot be too intuitive, you cannot do many things, because God forbid, if you go too much into expressing your feminine, you're gonna get in trouble with the man friends that you have. If you're a lady, you have to put up with a million things, and while pretending you're okay with those things because you have to get along with men, half of the planet, men and women, and you have to keep perpetrating, like putting up with the abuse, putting up with the unfairness, putting up with the cruelty, putting up with all those things. And then we kind of end up, covertly disliking each other very much so, and becoming kind of like each other's enemies without even noticing or saying so, or even, being conscious of half of this paradigm. So, to be able to use a blind spot to cause an extraordinary evolution, transformation, improvement, shift, whatever you want to call it, the first thing that we need to do is we need to see it. So here's little glimpses so that you can see what I'm talking about. For example, if you're a man and you're a heterosexual man and you want to be spiritual, you want to be intuitive, you want to be sensitive because you want to express that side of you that is obviously part of the feminine, you cannot quite do that because your man friends are going to let you know that that is not, being man enough. And then you start suppressing all those things. You cannot even cry without apologizing if you're a man, really frankly. That's how suppressed your feminine has to be. And that is quite terrible because it suppresses all of your potential. You cannot just have half of your potential expressed and be everything that you want it to be. If you are a woman, you know, we all know the story. It's like, it's impossible. You got to be the perfect woman for the eyes of society, your family, yourself, etc. You got to suppress your masculine. You cannot be too strong. You cannot be too independent, too everything, because it's going to go badly. Everybody's going to criticize you, make your life impossible, besides all the horrible crimes that are committed against women every day. So far it's not working for heterosexuals, but it doesn't work for non-heterosexuals. Because, you know, if you're gay, you're expressing the masculine in the wrong way, supposedly in the eyes of the collective society. And society is going to be putting gays down in a terrible way and killing them and torturing them because they're expressing the masculine in the wrong way, which is totally just, you know, beyond passé and simply barbaric in my perspective. If you're a lesbian, of course, you're not expressing the feminine in the right way. Same destiny for you. If you're queer, if you're bi, same destiny for you. If you happen to be trans, you know, really bless you, because you're a human angel for surviving, because you have it, you know, the cruelty comes towards you from every side of society. You see what I'm saying? Like, we got to express the feminine in a particular way, the masculine in a particular way. And that is already in itself sitting on a lie that we are either feminine or masculine, because all human beings are an expression of both. And that's what is beautiful. I mean, we have it in nature, the feminine and masculine getting along perfectly and creating this unbelievable Mother Earth that we enjoy. But in the paradigm of us human beings, we have literally put down the feminine and put down the masculine and put them in this little particular box where they're supposed to express themselves in a particular way, and we're all suffering from that creation. Now, it's not horrible. It's not anybody's fault, and sometimes it is horrible. It's not your fault. It's not my fault, but it has very limited workability. It has worked to this point. And don't get me wrong, I'm not supporting any crime or anything like that. But that paradigm, as not ideal as it is, has gotten us to where we are today. It gave us, you know, the Industrial Revolution. It gave us everything that we have in the planet today. So it served us to a certain degree, but it is very unworkable in the deepest ways all over the place. So it's time that we create a different paradigm. I'm proposing good news. Finally, here we come to the good news. Breathe deeply, $1,000. The good news is that there is a solution. Every time that you find a problem, the solution is inside of the problem. We can create a new paradigm. My proposal is creating a paradigm where we honor the feminine, we honor the masculine, because they are both divine in all beings, however they want to express that feminine and that masculine, because the ultimate truth is not even feminine or masculine, it's unity. So, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you in real life 3D what that looks like, okay? And no worries, I will prove my point. And I will give you the space for questions, just in case you want to ask questions. It's all going to work out. Just hang in there. To be able to shift a blind spot into a breakthrough, you first need to see the blind spot. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that are evidence of the blind spot, okay? So here's a little bit of evidence. So it says here that 1 of 3 women are either raped or sexually abused. That's a terrible side effect of this paradigm that we're living in. But even though it's absolutely terrible, I have worse news for all of us. I don't think this is true. What is Carolina saying? Well, okay. In all my years, 26 years already, leading seminars to all kinds of people from all walks of life and all kinds of countries, I've been asking the question. And my results are not 1 out of 3. My own stats show that it's literally 99% of women, every 100 women, that I have asked the question, 99 ask that they've been either raped or sexually assaulted, molested at one point or another in their lives. Half of them are work, by the way. Wow. Now that's shocking. That reflects reality, because in those seminars, I wasn't even coaching them about that. I was coaching them about improving their work, their relationships, their health, their visions for their life, their spirituality. But it comes in the way, all those traumas that we all have. And when we got down to it, and I asked them, how many of you guys have experienced that? There literally was hardly 1 out of 100 women that would say, no, I haven't experienced that, and raise their hand. So that's gigantic right there. That's part of the reality of this terrible paradigm that we live in right now, that I'm calling terrible for a moment. And you may hear like, oh, okay, those are monster men that do that to women. They are behaving like monsters, but they're not monster men. I have another big blind spot for all of us to consider. Those men that rape women or sexually abuse women, especially children, by the way, and young women, are not the typical monster that we see on TV. They are the very beloved friend of the family. Many of the times they are the father. Many of the times they are the best friend, the uncle, the cousin, the boss, the co-worker. So big blind spot. We see like the monsters and the saints, and that paradigm doesn't work either, because I gotta tell you, all the people committing all these horrible acts of cruelty are not these horrible monster beings from the movies. They are human beings. They have beloved families. Most of us know a lot of those people, and we don't know that about them, by the way. And it's not even their fault. They are not like really on purpose wanting to be terribly cruel. And I'm not, excusing them either. But they are the result of this paradigm. They had to end up being this person that they are, because the same thing happened to them growing up, and then they do it to others. So how does that impact men? Because now we know, okay, that's terrible. Think about it. Apply it to your life. 9 out of 10 women that you have in your life, sisters, brothers, friends, have gone through sexually abuse or rape. How does that impact men? First of all, there is a high statistic for men too. They got abused, sexually abused or raped, and they don't talk about it. So now that we established the issue, how does that impact us all? Like if you're lucky enough and you're blessed, not lucky, really blessed enough to be the 1 out of 100 that hasn't happened to you, it impacts you too, because all those women and men, they had that experience, including me too. We become in many ways traumatized, and we end up reacting to society and people in a particular way. For men, by the way, do you want to know why you keep, there's this terrible term, I apologize again, but men say that they are dating damaged women. Want to know why? Ta-da, that's why. When a woman has gone, 99% of us, through that kind of abuse, as a child, as a young adult, et cetera, then of course, we have a particular reaction, and we will be predisposed, and we will be like traumatized for life, reacting in particular ways to men that have nothing to do with what happened to us. But that's why, now you know why when you date a damaged woman, the woman is damaged, and it's not her fault, it's what they did to her. But guess what? We all get to pay for the consequences of that. And men, by the way, go through very similar things and very high numbers, and many of them are generous enough to talk about it, but many of them are not. So it creates a society where abuse is kind of normal. I'm going to point to another piece of the blind spot, which is in this paradigm that produces so much unworkability around the planet. One of the agreements that we don't know that we have with each other is we have like a cone of silence. We don't talk about it, and we kind of like become an accomplice to everything that is happening. In the law, when you're seeing a criminal commit a crime, if you don't do anything about it, you're the accomplice, right? Well, without even knowing or wanting to do that, very good people, we end up being accomplices of this paradigm continuing. I have, over the last 26 years in the coaching that I have done, I have asked many, many, many people, like, was there other people present when things happen? Can anybody help you? And the answer is yes, every single time. And those people didn't do anything to help because they didn't think it was their place and they were afraid to, et cetera, et cetera. So if we're not part of it, we are bystanders that do nothing. And you know what the quote says, that evil will triumph. There is this quote, I forget by whom, but it says that evil will triumph not because of terrible people doing terrible things, but because of good men doing nothing. And it does say good men, by the way. So, but it's very much a good women too. So let me give you another piece of reality. Yikes. So just for being a woman, you get paid 18% less. It's only in the United States, right? And if you happen to be, Black, you're paid 36% less. And if you happen to be Hispanic, you get paid 44% less. Now, that's terrible. I'm supposed to get paid, in this paradigm, 44% less. Thank goodness I hacked this paradigm, and I'm going to tell you how to hack it too. But how does that affect men? Well, given that half of the population is women, when half of the population gets paid between, 1/3 and half of what they should get paid, then the economy goes down and it impacts us all. And if you have a family where there is the lady, supporting the family, there is the gentleman supporting the family, and she gets paid unfairly, everybody pays the price of that unfairness. So it's not just women. Let me give you more of the reality. That's quite terrible, right? Because almost half of the women think their husband has the right to beat them, to abuse them. And by the way, it's not just beating physically, it's emotional abuse, which is one of the biggest issue ever. And it creates the biggest problems ever, because we all, men and women, have been emotionally abused, and we got so used to it that we tolerate and support, without even knowing, abuse in our society, left and right. So for those that are saying, yeah, that is poor countries. No, it's not. Here's more reality for you. Notice only 6 countries have the same rights for women. And notice the United States wasn't in that list. Ooh, for those people, yes, I know I'm an American citizen, but the reality is the United States is not one of those countries where women have the same rights than men. So breathe deeply. Now that you saw one of the pieces of reality, I just show you little pieces because, of course, I could spend hours showing you proof of how terrible the reality of the gender, lack of gender equality is in the world, the gender unfairness and gender cruelty, really frankly. But I want you to consider that everything that I could possibly say to prove it, even though it doesn't touch you personally sometimes, it does. Because it creates this society that we're living in where the ones that suffer the most are children. Because they are getting born in a society that will suppress their feminine, will suppress their masculine, and then will get them used to abuse between the both or each other or themselves. That's the biggest side effect, and you and I are part of that problem. Now, breathe deeply, $1,000. Here are the solutions that I'm proposing, right? The solutions are pretty simple to say, but pretty hard to implement. But we can get it done together because there's nothing we cannot get done together. If you notice the virus, right? This gender unfairness that we experience in the planet literally is like the virus. We don't see it, but it impacts us everywhere, to all of us. And just like this coronavirus, pandemic that we've all been surviving in this planet, there's some of us that want to say like, that doesn't impact me, but it does. It has impact, and it is impacting each one of us every day in our lives in more ways than what you notice and what I notice. So it's the same thing I say with this particular virus of gender unfairness and gender cruelty. It's invisible. We don't see it. We only see peaks of it. And it's impacting and affecting each and every one of us all the time in an invisible way. But it also has a solution, just like we have come together to support each other and overcoming and transcending this pandemic, we can do the same about this pandemic of gender unfairness and gender cruelty, really, frankly. So I got proof that my idea works, by the way. I am saying that we could, you and I, and every human in this planet could start living lives on purpose, honoring the feminine in us and honoring the divine in us in whatever way is our highest self-expression. Just whatever way that is, but honoring both instead of dishonoring both like we're doing now. And by doing that, then we can support others in doing the same. And by doing those two, we get to build a new society that operates in a new paradigm of equilibrium, balance, fairness for all. By the way, I'm not for gender equality. You know how people fight and say like equal rights, equal. I'm not for equal because we're not really equal. There is this unbelievable difference between the divine and the masculine that making it equal will be terrible. It's kind of like making the night equal to the day, and then we wouldn't have either. So I think that they are both wonderful as they are, and we just need to honor them and stop actively dishonoring them and putting them down in more ways than one every single day in our lives and in the lives of society, and supporting each other, unfortunately, and supporting the wrong paradigm. So the good news of creating a new paradigm of inclusion and unity has already been proven, by the way, because in my coaching of people around the world over the last 26 years, one of the things that I have done is support them in expressing their own divinity, whatever way works for them, their own masculinity, their own femininity, both of them in whatever combination and way works for them. And it has worked for, over 1 million people. And it may seem like, yeah, but I don't know any of them. So how does that look in my life? Remember, we got to apply it to your life, Let me give you a little bit of proof so that you have hope. This is a little bit of proof. Isn't that shocking? It's like, wow. So if we actually paid women all the things that we don't pay them for, all the work the women do, we don't pay them for, the national debt, for example, in the United States will get almost erased or overcome, right? Like, I don't know how it is, the debt now, it may be worse, but in the last study that I read, we'll be like a little bit over. So imagine that, right? Like if we paid women everything that we don't pay them, that is inside of the gender gap, we wouldn't owe any money. And what if every country didn't owe any money? It sounds like, oh yeah, how does that impact me? It impacts you in every way. It impacts you in better schools, better hospitals, better education, better roads, better security, better everything. That's one of the ways that it could work. And it is working a little bit in some countries. I have hope for all of us because there are some countries in the world where the gender gap is way smaller, where actually, the feminine and the masculine are being honored a little more. It's not ideal yet, but they're doing a little bit better than us. And look at what happens. Isn't it awesome? Those countries are growing 33% faster than all of our countries, including the United States, they have a gigantic gender gap. So, wow, 33% is a gigantic number to grow faster, right? And they're doing it. There's many countries in Europe where women have as much almost in every support in every system as men do. And those countries are doing way, way better than the rest of our countries. There's more proof. Isn't that amazing? So if we actually were fair to both genders, especially the one that we put the most down, feminine, we would all make twice as much money. And again, it's not about the money. I don't really care about money, frankly, personally, but it is about what we can do with it. We can have better education, better health. We can have more time off. We can develop our spirituality, and we can do the things that really, really fulfill us as creative beings. So now I proved it a little bit to you in the world. I'm going to prove it in an even more powerful way, in a very personal way. And as I said, over the last 2,700, I was counting the other day, seminars that I led, the proof is all those people that have been implementing this balance, this equilibrium, this honoring both inside of themselves and supporting their family members and doing the same. But I'm going to share with you about how I do it in my personal life and how one of my favorite people does it, how he does it in his personal life, so that you get a up close look at how you could implement it in your own life. There is this extraordinary coach that spoke before me. His name is Ed Balke. He's one of the top coaching partners in my company. And I also have the honor and privilege of mentoring and training and coaching Ed, because he's one of those very few coaches in the world that have the integrity to have a coach himself, right? And Ed is literally a poster child of creating this whole new paradigm of honoring the divine masculine and the divine feminine in his own life. And very much so, I recommend listening to his talk about the environment. He was talking earlier about environmental equity. Very much so, I invite you to look at that talk. But I'm going to share with you about something he gave me permission to share about how he balanced both the feminine and the masculine in his own life. Now, it's interesting because notice what thoughts are passing to your head, right? I'm going to share with you about Ed Balke. He's a man. And many of you may be thinking, oh my God, is he? I gotta tell you, he's heterosexual. So you don't need to not be a heterosexual to have balanced the divine feminine and divine masculine in you. And he's proved very much so of that. He's a heterosexual man. He's a single father, and he's raising his 11-year-old princess daughter as a daddy mommy. He's the mom, and he is the dad of that beautiful little child. And he does it while he's homeschooling his child, while he works at home, while he has become super successful as a coach, while he's helping other people evolve their lives and their deserved level. Look at that. While he's intuitive and spiritual and expressive, he has found a way to balance the divine, feminine, and masculine inside of us, and creating a life that is really what fits his own dream come true. And by the way, here is a little hint for those of us that are about business and producing results. By bringing, this balance in the two energies inside of his own life, Ed has multiplied his earnings. He now makes 25 times the amount of money that he used to make when he was just expressing the masculine the way that he was used to expressing it. Before I started coaching him 6 years ago, that's what he used to do, express the masculine the best way he could and try to express the feminine the best way he could, because we all are trained to do that. And now, as a result of balancing them all, he's making 25 times the amount of money that he used to make. Now, that's pretty awesome. He understands women, his little girl, and women in general, and he works with many, many women and many, many men. He understands men in a different way than most people do, because he allows himself to live in this balance, this equilibrium between these two energies. So, first of all, if he can do it, you and I can do it too, right? And now, to complete this talk, breathe deeply. $1,000 coming to you. I'm going to share with you about my experience a little bit. So, as I told you, in my case, is my story didn't start well, because I was born in a very poor country. And even though my family was pretty good to begin with, we were a middle-class family. I thought we were super blessed when I was a toddler, because my dad was a professor, my hero. I adored that man forever. And my mom was and she is a human angel. I thought I had it all, right? Except when I was 2 years old, my dad contracted a deadly illness. Ta-da! And he was terribly ill the rest of my childhood and teenager years. And my mom had to start working. Now, right there, the paradigm, you're going to see how it works. Because my mom had to have 3 jobs to be able to provide the same life that my dad was providing for us. My beautiful and extraordinary mother with the 3 jobs, had a hard time making ends meet. We grew up really poor. My sister makes fun of the fact that we used to have to use a bucket of water to take showers, and it's very much the case, right? So interestingly enough, the gender gap produced poverty in my family, and that's what happens to many families around the world, many, many, many families around the world. Now, here it goes way beyond, by the way, just poverty, because poverty, gives birth to many other problems. That's why I do so much charity, because it really is a subject that is like so close to my heart. Because we were in those conditions, then my mom doesn't have time to pick us up and takes us back to school. So then my uncle steps in to help out the family, to take me back and forward to school. And oops, my uncle ended up abusing me sexually as a child. And there you go, not a monster, not a terrible human being, a really good member of the family, and that's doing something horrible that marked the rest of my life. And by the way, it wasn't just me. It was the majority of many cousins of mine, men and women, little boys and little girls. They got abused by him. We found out as adults all these things. And that impacted my life terribly. My mother, because she had no time to breathe, the poor one, between those 3 jobs, literally had to put her health in the back burner, and she ended up like weighing 88 pounds, all those years of struggling. It was just terrible. Just like ending the life little by little every day of a human angel just because of the gender gap. I literally am a product of how badly this paradigm works. Now, obviously, I had to be kind of like Cinderella. I had to help out in the house and do everything because I was the girl. I do have a brother, and we're almost the same age, but of course he didn't have to help out in the house because he was the boy. He very much is so, right? Still the boy. And in this paradigm, there is the emotional abuse that happens that we don't even see. Like literally, he could study, he could like draw, he could do whatever he wanted, while I was like cooking, cleaning, helping with my dad, helping with the children, doing everything, because women are supposed to do that, you see. And my mother is an angel. And I don't have anything against my brother, but we're a product of that paradigm that doesn't work. So this is not about my family, by the way. I'm sharing openly with you about my family because this is what happened to millions of families around the world. Now, it's like, oh, this is very sad. And it is, really, frankly. But this issue goes way beyond what we can see. It goes like, in ways, it's really hard to confront. It's like the virus, remember? I'll give you one quick example that is, it really marked my life, but I'm also going to give you a surprising blind spot with that. I think that, this terrible paradigm of gender unfairness also produces good results. They are limited, they have side effects, but they do have good results. So I'm going to share with you some of them. For example, when I was 9 years old, my brother and I were kind of the same age. We got tested, our IQs, because my dad was a prodigy. Even though he was sick, sweet angel, they wanted to test us to see if we can get scholarships to the gifted school, because my mom had a very hard time paying for school. And we both took the test. We both, got the result of the IQ test. We both tested as genius. I got 4 more points than him, but don't tell him, right? In any case, that's my my private joke, because it didn't matter that we both got, the score as genius, because I was a woman. I was not admitted to the gifted school with the same genius score that my brother. My brother went to the gifted school. I ended up not going because women were not admitted. And that's what happened in many places in the world. Right there, my entire life determined by how they consider that a woman cannot be a genius. Ta-da! No worries. The good side of this is that I became stronger. I decided that I was going to find my way to honor my mother and my father. I was going to find a way to create a powerful life. And that's also what this paradigm produces people like me, that we decide, I'm going to find a way to, make it through this terrible system. And that's a good thing. This system has produced many of us. They're super strong. So when I left my home as a 19-year-old, I decided, here's another secret. I decided to live the life of a man in the body of a woman. Whoops. Yep. That's one of my secrets. I decided, given that I live in a man's world, the best way that I can actually achieve everything I want is by, conducting myself as a man, and very much so be a woman, because I love being a woman. Really, frankly, I wouldn't give it up for anything. But I live my life as a man from then on, even wearing a Brooks Brothers suit daily, very much so. And the long story short, not so short, is that I moved to the United States and I worked really, really hard. I worked 3 times, 4 times, sometimes 10 times harder than anybody else, so that I could be the best coach, and that I could lead seminars effectively, and that I could produce the best seminars, and, everything that it was super important, and it is super important for me to achieve. Now, if you notice, why do I share that with you? Oh, wonderful, Carolina. No, it's not like that. It's like this paradigm does produce powerful people, but it produces powerful people with a side effect, because I did achieve extraordinary results. And that's important to notice about this paradigm. Instead of just saying that this paradigm is terrible, it is unworkable, but it has produced amazing things. So we could find a way to thank this terrible and unworkable and cruel paradigm for producing also some good results. Like many people found a way to be, strong, hardworking, and overcome it all like I did, just because the paradigm demanded that you either find a way to survive or you perish. So it does have a good, quote unquote, side. And many men do the same thing I did, by the way, and many women find a way to work 3 times harder, 10 times harder than everybody else and make it. But it also has a bigger good side effect, because, I don't want to put it down this paradigm of, the masculinity is the dominant and the femininity is, quote unquote, what it has to settle and accept things, because this paradigm allow me to lead seminars all over the world and help people all over the world. There is over 1 million people that got coaching and got the tools to create their dream lives, their dream jobs, their dream health, because I was conducting my life as a man in the body of a woman. So it produced amazing results in one side. Now let's talk about the side effects. And that's the last piece. The side effects were that I ended up super sick and almost dead. And that's what happened to many men, especially they overwork themselves like crazy if they are man, right? And women, that we do this particular trick with the paradigm of overcoming it with hard work. I work so hard that I work myself almost to death. 10 years ago, I landed in the hospital where the doctors were explaining to me that given that I overworked myself to an extreme and I overstressed myself to an extreme, I was, I had a high probability of dying. So those are the side effects. Our health, our wellness as a society, not just me, it's not about me. Remember, you have to think, how do I apply that to myself? When we overexpress the masculine and put down the feminine, we break the balance and we end up in trouble just like I did. Now, there is a good thing about the fact that I almost died 10 years ago and I was sick for a while, that I had the time to think and I had the time to reinvent my life. And I use, this gigantic blessing that coaching is in my life. I always have extraordinary coaches coaching me. So I got those coaches in coaching me in reinventing my life, and have a coach that coached me to heal myself, which I'm so thankful for her. Thanks to her, I got to heal finally naturally after many, Western medicine failed me and I couldn't heal myself. I got to heal. So no worries, breathe. Carolina's not sick. She's healed. She's healthier than ever. But I got to reinvent my life and consider bringing balance to my own paradigm of living, of expressing the masculine and expressing the feminine, but in an equilibrium, in a way that would allow me to have it all without the sacrifice that the heroes have to make. So I opened my own company. I became obviously the CEO and the owner of my own company. I started running that company the way that I see it, with balance, like hiring men, women, trans, gay, lesbian, gender fluid, anybody and everybody, with diversity, with inclusion, with unity. And by the way, a lot of people told me, don't do that. You're going to fail. It's going to be terrible. You're going to live under the bridge. I remember one of my very good friends that she used to tell me, aren't you afraid you're going to wake up under the bridge one of these days? And God bless her. But, I did it anyway. And I've been living my life in this balanced way for already 10 years. 10 years. Proving my theory of bringing equilibrium, bringing balance, and honoring the masculine and honoring the feminine inside of my own life. And here are the results. It's not just about me. It is about everything that happens through me. First of all, in a personal way, for men listening, like, oh, okay, how is that going to work for my money? Remember Ed? I got to tell you how it's going to work for your money. In running my own company as a woman, living in the body of a woman, honoring the feminine and the masculine in my own way and my own expression, I am now making more money a week, sometimes a month, that I used to make a year. Allows me to live in a wonderful ocean view penthouse property, which I adore, work from home. Now it's not just about the money, that I do make a very good amount of money, but it's what I'm able to do with that money. Number one, I'm able to take care of my health, because in the old paradigm, I didn't even have time to take care of my health. Now my health is priority, and I honor and take care and cherish my health above all, with a million things that I have brought into my life because I have the time and the money to do so. And by the way, that's another thing. I now have more time off in a working day that I used to have when I was on vacation in the old paradigm. So that would tell you, time off, people, balance. If you bring the feminine and the masculine into balance, you will have an abundance of time off. More importantly, I get to express my soul. When you're in balance, you can align yourself. That's why I call the company Soulful Radical Results Coaching, because yes, you can have radical results, but you can do it in a soulful, in an aligned, in a balanced way. And I get to do as much charity as I want. I got to meet my twin flame. Yay! I get to share my life with him. I get to have time and not just quality time, but quantity time with the people that I love, with my friends, with my family, with my soul family. And I get to help other people just like me, creating exceptional lives without having to sacrifice one or the other. So for example, one of my assistants, I confess, I've been a sexist too, really, frankly, my whole life without even seeing it. And I recommend that you look at yourself and you see how much you and I are all sexist. And it's not a bad thing. It really is, but it's not. Because if you see it, you can actually change it. I saw myself in the beginning of my company I was hiring two people, a man and a woman, as my assistants, and I did. And I saw myself, because the agency said, you can pay the woman a third of what you pay the man. Isn't that terrible? And I was like, wait, I'm not going to do that. I'll pay them both the same. But I saw myself saying, maybe I should have less hours for the lady that I do for the gentleman, because the lady is a single mother and she helps her whole family and she has a child. Maybe she's going to miss a lot of work days. And that is being sexist, by the way. And I caught myself like, okay, let's give her a full opportunity. Let's see what happens. Surprise, surprise. And this is what can happen to many people out there if you hire amazing women. She works 3 times harder than the man assistant. She is like unbelievable. And she is very macho, a single mother, and she helps her whole family and everything. But she ended up being one of the best decisions I ever made. And if you confront, just like I did, your own prejudice, you can see that just in the evolution of how you see things and how you can create the balance, you don't only get to help others, but you get to help create a better planet for all of us, and especially for our children. So, by the way, there's many aspects of this issue and they don't fit in the time that we have. So I just wanted to give you a glimpse. If you have questions about this issue, I'll be happy to answer your questions. I will give you a number that you can text me, you can voicemail me, you can call me, and you can get your questions answered. But I wanted to give you just an idea for you to consider taking on this extraordinary new paradigm that we can create together of balancing the feminine and the masculine, honoring both in our own expression and then helping others do the same. But I'm going to give you 3 little steps to do that. They're super fast, and you can remember it easy with the initials, right? Breathe deeply, $1,000, they're coming. We're about done. So how you can start implementing these changes in your life is SEE, see. Dare to see, be willing to see. So S, see what is happening. Be willing to observe how you and I and everyone around us is dishonoring the masculine, dishonoring the feminine. See it first, because it's invisible, like the virus, remember? S. Then E, allow yourself to evolve, not just see it and put yourself down. Please don't put yourself down. Just evolve it. Oh, I was being prejudiced. Let me correct it. What I can do about it. Like, first work on you is like the most generous thing that we can do for others, working on ourselves. So evolve that behavior, putting down the feminine, putting down the masculine. And then the next E, CEE, right? SEE, evolve others, help others evolve. Like if you notice somebody else is putting down the feminine or the masculine around it in any being or in any way, help them evolve. I promise you, it may be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's going to help create a better world for you and I to enjoy, and for children to have a better future that you and I did in our past without so much struggle and with way more lives living as dreams come true. If I can do it, frankly, a poor girl from Bolivia, anybody can do it. So lastly, I'm going to give you my number so that you can text me. Any question, any comment, and especially text me to get your $1,000 in coaching. This is the number, 213-260-2460. And it's not limited to this particular occasion of the talk, but anybody that listens to the talk later on or at any point, and you can pass it to any friend or family, whoever you like. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being open-minded. I know it takes a lot to be open-minded, but I want to thank you, and I want to acknowledge your open-mindedness and being one of those beings that wants to create a better world in an active way, not just in posts in social media. Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay, so you know I'm going to be texting you as soon as we get off this call, right?
AJ, back to you.
Uh-oh. I think
Back
we're having
to
some
you.
technical difficulties.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I had goosebumps the whole time, and what a gift you've given us. Thank you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. From the bottom of all of our hearts, on behalf of everyone listening, thank you. You are truly such a gift to all of us, and you give gifts to all of us. Everything you said resonated with me so deeply, especially the part about getting sick, and you know my journey. And so that part about balancing the masculine and the feminine and getting sick. And I mean, you are truly such a gift to humanity.
So are you.
Thank you so much. So everyone, I put the number in the text in the comments. So please reach out to Carolina. Please see, observe, evolve, and evolve others. So simple, so effective, and so profound. Thank you, Carolina, and expect a text from me in like the next 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is going to be shared so widely and freely. Again, just the gift of you to humanity is so profound, and I can't thank you enough for you going through your journey so you can help all of us along. It is so powerful and so profound. I don't have words. I literally don't have words to express everything you've made me feel in your talk today. So I will be reaching out to you once I process it and can actually find the words to express everything you've taken me through just in this talk. So, and I feel like there are a lot of people that are going through that right now too, because you literally took us through the roller coaster of all of humanity, and who we need to evolve to be, which I think is your gift. So thank you again. And it has been such an absolute honor to learn from you and for all of us, not just me. And it has been such an absolute honor that the C3EP Summit got to, it got you as a keynote speaker. And I can't thank you enough. So thank you.
It's my honor. Thank you. It all happened thanks to you.
I'll message you soon.
Right.
Bye, everyone.